So what you're telling me is, I'm living with Linda Blair? Damn it, Jim, this is serious! And that's the take they went with, folks. I'm John Renton with the retro review of Witchboard. Oh boy, oh dear, oh me, oh my. This movie was successful enough to spawn 2 sequels. There is currently a remake that is out in theaters as of right now in very limited release with very limited showtimes, to the point I'm going to have to wait for streaming. But I decided to watch this. I've seen like 2 scenes. I've never seen the whole thing. And God, I wish I could go back in time. Go back in time and forget that I ever watched this. Look, there's some cheesy fun to be had with this. This isn't the worst 80s possession movie. I mean, it's not nearly as bad as any of the Amityville horror, sequels. It certainly is worse than at least the one that had James Brolin's beard co-starring James Brolin, but I don't know, this might be right on par with the Amityville horror remake. It also came out a year after House, and not House 2, the second story. That's creative. What isn't creative is whatever the fuck writer-director Kevin Tenney did. He did Night of Demons, as well as The Cellar, as well as, Witchboard 2, Electric Boogaloo. Pinocchio's Revenge. There was a movie called Pinocchio's Revenge. And Arrival 2. Yeah, they did a sequel to Arrival that went, straight to video. Speaking of straight to video, that's where all the cast members for this belong. You had Todd Allen as Jim, who's a chain-smoking, heavy-drinking construction worker that is dating Linda, played by Tawny Katane, who was in the Here I Go Again on My Own Whitesnake video. The beautiful redhead. May she rest in peace. I did not realize she passed away about 4 years ago. And she used to date a man named, she was the love interest, of somebody named Brandon, played by Stephen Nichols. They say X in the description, but Jim and Brandon used to be friends, and then Jim got Linda, and jealousy, and feathered hair, and a Ouija board. Witchboard. Nailed it. Yeah, there's a Witchboard, a Ouija board, a Wig board, a Luigi board, as it were. There is nobody under the age of 40 that is going to get that reference. But, yeah, there's a Ouija board. There's a boy named David. Linda gets obsessed with the board. She gets possessed. Bingo bango, we have a possession movie. Unfortunately, I summarized the plot a lot quicker than this movie did. 98 minutes. 98 minutes for this. For something that could have been about 82 minutes bell to bell, you could have gone maybe 83 minutes. Go 80 minutes to get that theatrical cutoff time, and then have 3 minutes of end credits. Because, good God, this is padded. Rose Marie had a special appearance. Kathleen Wihoit had a appearance as Zarabeth, the almost like Janine from Ghostbusters, if she was punk rock and a psychic. So yeah, that's really about it. It cost around $2 million, which would be $5.9 million in today's money. It opened up only with $95,435, which would be $281,200 in today's money. But it did make $7.3 million, because horror movies were almost guaranteed to make their budget back and then some, and that'd be $21.5 million in today's money. It's not awful at first, and there are elements of cheesiness that are fun. There's this evil force that is coming for Linda, like many men came for Tawny at that point. Ho ho. But God, Stephen Nichols, he must have understood the assignment, but I don't know if he was checked out or just decided this script sucks. I'm just going to go full on cheese. And he did. Boy, did he ever. We start off with a party where Jim is being picked on by Brandon. Terrible audio equipment in this. They were blowing the mics out. And we get a Witchboard. And they call it the Plachette. I kept wanting to call it the Suzanne Plachette. Just lay Suzanne Plachette around and roll her around. There was a time where many would have wanted to do that. What Alfred Hitchcock movie was Suzanne Plachette in? Let me know. And there's a boy named David who died around 30 years ago. Or so he says. David, can you hear me? Tommy, can you hear me? Can you feel me near you? By the way, it's a retro review, so pretty much everything is being spoiled. If you have a problem with that, the movie's only 40 years old, or just about. It came out at the very end, the last day of 1986 in limited release. So technically it's a 1987 movie, since I can't imagine it made that much money in 86. So, essentially, we just get some goofiness. We get Brandon being a little handsy with Linda, and her not exactly resisting. And I don't know why this entire thing is just... I don't know why this is just so seeping with ridiculousness. I mean, yes, understand the assignment, don't treat it so seriously. But then they try to treat some parts of it seriously, like almost a bromance between Brandon and Jim, which actually was kind of hilarious. And there was a construction site scene with... This is after, by the way, David has talked to Linda. Seemingly may have summoned him, may have not. And Brandon ends up saying, well, he's talked to David before. There's no explanation as to why or when he started talking to him, but it's fine. So there's Lloyd, not Lloyd's of London. We don't get that guy. We get Lloyd, a weird old New York guy in California that is working construction with Brandon on a house. And we get some shirtless, oily scenes for whatever reason. And while they're saying just having some fun, after a hammer is thrown, suddenly there is a hatchet above the house with the sheetrock and stuff like that. And suddenly Lloyd's laying there and then gets smashed by the sheetrock. Hilariously, I might add. Very red blood. It's like we're in a Giallo film. Giallo, is that how you say it? And, well, there you go. That's pretty much what causes that. Oh, and while Linda's playing with the board, it says that Jim's not a good guy. By the way, this is not David talking to her. This is a character named Malfeitor. Malfecal actually would have been better because this was shit. And the sheetrock kills him. There's a character named Dewhurst, Lieutenant Dewhurst, that's obsessed with magic tricks, especially trying to figure out how magic tricks are done. Like, he thinks that Jim is causing all this stuff. I mean, to be fair, it is suspicious, but it's also very obvious that Jim is an idiot and incapable of murder. But for some reason, the hammer has a hatchet part on the end, and then we just turn it into just hatchet stuff. We just get a hatchet job here. I would have actually preferred it just be a disembodied hatchet hammer that was killing people. And that's actually what we pretty much got. There's a lot of not possession in this, which I know is awful English and awful grammar, but it's like really just a hatchet occasionally kills people, and it really doesn't kill anybody for a while after Mr. Lloyd of London. And then we get Brandon doing the, damn it, Jim, this is serious, doing the good, my God, Jesus, oh, what take did they cut out? If that's what they put in. And then basically, Linda's worried she's pregnant because she's having sickness. But that's from using the board and gradually getting worked on. It's called, a type of entrapment. Not the Catherine Zeta-Jones, Sean Connery movie where she moved through the laser. That was very nice. They should have done more of that with Catherine Zeta-Jones. Because they're trying to do an American accent. Didn't work. So then Zarabeth shows up. That's Kathleen. I have to say that she at least tried to have fun. Oh, a little psychic humor. This movie needed a lot of humor. It needed good humor. They should have gotten a sponsorship of good humor. Have the goddamn, hatchet just throw ice cream cones at people. It would have made as much sense and been as impactful as some of the scenes that we got in this. And David will go. His planet needs him. So he takes off, except it's not David. Brandon was a little handsy there with Linda again after that. And through this time, we're getting like Linda swearing a whole lot and getting a whole lot worse. And Jim kind of being aloof. I mean, granted, he did see one of his coworkers / friends smashed to death, so you can understand why he's upset. But once he finds out that his, girlfriend could be pregnant, okay. And also, the dry ice machine in this movie is working overtime because they left the dry ice machine on the house. outside the house, in the cemetery, seemingly just pretty much in somebody's garage. It was insane how much dry ice was used. It's like that fucking Scooby-Doo episode where he cuts out the circle and eats it. You couldn't actually do that because the dry ice would kill you, but cartoon, and they were all high. And essentially, it just gets ridiculous after this. Kathleen, her character, Zarabeth, goes home and then sees the camera running at her, so that means that it's the killer, Malfeitorpiece. And it's Malfeitor, but whatever. Runs at her, shoves her out the window, well, actually hatchets her neck. She falls out the window and falls onto a spike that evidently is part of the fence of the house that she was at. Every house in Northern California had a goddamn, medieval fence. So she's dead. Dewhurst apparently still thinks that Jim has something to do with this. He keeps watch, but he also doesn't really do anything, because we see him watching from the car, and then there's one point. It's so hilarious. Is that after Linda ends up getting attacked, she's not pregnant. She suffers a concussion because she keeps using the board. Because, yeah, she's supposed to be addicted to the board. But the problem is the movie doesn't exactly make it like that. It just makes it like she's an idiot using the board. So it just makes characters look dumber than they already do. But she's in a hospital. Turns out she's not pregnant. She has a concussion. I didn't know you could smoke in the waiting room of a hospital, but evidently Jim just likes to buck the rules. And then Brandon says he's going to go off and he's going to go find out about David's death. Because he knows he drowned. That means he's going to come back with a machete and kill people. And he takes off, but then Jim decides, I'll go with you. And then they're going to sneak into the goddamn gravesite. After getting another Ouija board. Whoa, Ouija. They just say it different ways. But, again, Steven just saying, no, Jim, don't. Why? Just why? Why? Were these voices done in post-production? Did nobody care to do another shoot? Just another take. Any take would have been better than about 50% of the ones they used here. Which, yes, I guess is part of the cheesy fun. But my God, even the worst Jason movie, okay, bad example. Maybe the worst Freddy movie, another bad example. And Chucky had no good acting in it. I mean, bless, the voice of Chucky, but still. The graveyard jump scares are bullshit. In fact, all the jump scares are fucking bullshit. And Jim is just, he feels he's not good enough for Linda. She's going to leave him. Him and Brandon joke around. And then they end up find out that the parents died a couple weeks, or just under 2 weeks ago, on the same day that David died. I think. They use another board to contact David, and he explains it's evil. Malfeitor is here. Malfeitor is here. And suddenly Donkey Kong barrels fall. And hit Jim, and then hit Brandon. Brandon gets up, and then gets hit in the head with the axe. The hatchet. I know it's 86, 87, but my God, some of these effects. And there you are. That's pretty much it right there. He's crying over Brandon's body. He finds out about the old guy. The old guy was Carlos Malfeitor. Gloria Hayes has an appearance as a beautiful bookstore clerk. My God. Look at her. Look at her in this movie. That solo scene. My God. So, nevertheless, it turns out that they've been living in Malfeitor's old house this whole time. And boom, she's possessed. We have 10 minutes left of this movie. No, we have 7 minutes left of this movie. And he's trying to get through to her. But it turns out that they've been using him as a portal, and he must end his own life. But then Linda's still going to be possessed. Does he love her enough? He tries to do it. Dewhurst shows up and gets shoved down and beat up, I think. And then he's going to die. He's going to take care of it. Then he decides to just use every bullet in that 6-shooter and shoot the board, which is apparently something you can do. He shoots the board, which somehow gets the spirit out of Linda. The spirit shows him out the window, and you thought Hitchcock did the falling down scene, Arbogast. falling down. I think that's how you say the name. Forgive me, I always get that name wrong. Falling down the steps. He did that in 1960, and he did it on less of a budget than this. I mean, maybe adjusted for inflation, but still. It didn't even look like Jim was falling. It looked like oh God, it was so terrible. It was so bad. It was so bad. That's kind of why I decided not to watch the remake, because I was worried because the remake's like 15, 20 minutes longer than this one, and I don't know why. But he falls onto a roof of a car, and then we cut to black. Okay, that's it. Jim's dead. No, we're at a church. No, it's a funeral. No, it's a wedding. Jim's alive. And then the landlady, by the way, this is an apartment deal. This old house of Malfeitorpiece has apparently been turned into a bunch of apartments. Like the fucking Heart House when it was a Red Cross, an old Red Cross house. But the board has all these shots in it, and that's it. Like, just throw the board out. Is that board even still working? And then the Suzanne Plachette goes up, yes. And that means we're going to get a sequel, which didn't come out, by the way, until about 1992, 1993. And then the third one came out in 95. As great as the 90s were for movies, there were a lot of shit horror flicks. A lot of them. A lot of bad sequels, too. Yeah, Witchboard's terrible. It's fun at parts, or in parts, but it is just terrible. So agree, disagree with what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Ritlin, and until we possess again, happy trails to you.